Welcome everyone to BaD Company, SOSA's brand new podcast. I am one of your hosts. I am Brock Netter alongside my co-host Derrick Webb here. And for those who don't know Derrick, I've never told you this either. I don't think so, at least. For those who don't know, I am Brock, and he is Derrick, because there's so many times where people have confused you for me. I don't know if that happens to you or not.
Well, yeah, if they've never met us, I mean, obviously it does. People have asked me on like Twitter before, hey, can you do this? I'm like, no, you got the wrong SOSA guy. So yes,
I've gotten it many times before where either athletes or parents have noticed, the SOSA gear that I'm wearing, and like, hey, Derrick, how you doing?
Yep.
And part of me wants to be like, I'm Brock, but the other part's like, well, you recognize SOSA and you recognize the name, so I'm just gonna go for the broader picture.
And then you don't correct them.
Exactly, I don't correct them at all. So just to let you guys know, I am Brock. This is Derrick. Just in case you don't remember, a lot of adjectives for me start with a B. I'm big. I'm bald.
Yep.
Bearded. And the most important one of all, in case you can't see here, I'm better looking. So that's the easy way. Where was your mind going?
You caught me there. I was thinking black. I'm not gonna lie. So when you originally said, hey, a lot of people confuse this, and I thought, how? Because I go to the beach and I get burnt. So that's quite the way to kick off a podcast, though, Brock. I will give you that.
As you guys can see, we're gonna have a lot of fun getting into this podcast. That's just a small semblance of what we have, in store for you guys. We're gonna try and make this a weekly thing. We don't know that for sure because we are frequently on the sidelines. Volleyball games,
yep.
Football games, soccer games, other sports as well. So we're gonna do our best to make this weekly. So bear with us. But once again, welcome to BaD Company, SOSA's second new podcast. Obviously, our feature one being Overtime, presented by Perfection One Collision Center.
Shameless plug.
Exactly, shameless plug. They need the plug too, just just as we do. So, we're gonna jump right into it. Derrick, you posed this podcast idea and the first episode to me, and it was kind of cool how you did it as well.
Oh, it was reminiscent of how we pose SOSA.
Yeah.
In our first podcast episode, every time I'm out somewhere, people say, well, how did you start SOSA? I'm like, well, first of all, it wasn't me. I had a part in it, but it wasn't me. And they said, well, how did you and Brock start SOSA? And I said, well, first of all, it wasn't us. We had a part in it. So for the people that don't know, and I've told them this, and I said, hey, listen, we are coming out with a new podcast, and we'll go over that. And so that's kind of like that's what we're going to cover today is how SOSA began, its birth, and way back when I made a phone call. Brock, if you remember, we were working at I was working at the Chillicothe Gazette, and in 2013, that's where really our sports journalism career started. Yep. I got a job at the Gazette as a stringer, eventually got hired full time. And then when I did get hired full time, they fired everybody else in the sports department. So they didn't fire, but they got laid off for getting that. And so, we needed some freelancers. So I gave you a call. And then, 5 years later in 2018, I took a job in Illinois in Kankakee. And I said, Brock, let's come over to Illinois. And so we hired you over there as a sports writer. And I've left you there, and I decided to come home. My sister had her first baby, and I wanted to kind of, I just missed my family, and so anyways, in 2018, later on that year, I went to 11 Warriors and was with Ohio State's football team, reported, on them, took some photos on the sidelines. Time of my life, but I missed high school sports, and so I made a call on a whim, basically, to you. And I said, what do you think about this idea? And that's how it started. So, I guess that was the first phone call is how it started, I should say. Yeah. But, I'll say this. When I called you, you're in Illinois. You've been there for...
I had been there. That'd have been a year and a half up to that point.
So a year and a half at that point. And about what? 6 months by yourself
A little bit longer, yeah.
after you thought, hey, I'm going to go hang out with Derrick in Illinois. And then I was like, no, you're not. And
keep in mind, you hired me, left a month later,
Yep.
came back 9 months later, left 2 months later, and I'm still there the entire time.
It was a time in my life. We know if you guys want to hire any furniture movers, we're good at that. So, especially my family, you know, I think that, you know, my family thought, when's this guy ever going to just, you know, settle in a place? They were sad when I went to Illinois the first time. The second time, like, just stay somewhere. So in 2018, we're working, you know, I'm working at 11 Warriors, and I gave you a call, and I'm sure it was late one night, and, you know, I think you were at the office, and, you know, when I asked you that question, what was your first reaction? I mean, did you miss home? Did you miss what we kind of had at the Gazette, and something we could make our own?
Did I miss home? Not exactly. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but I was having the time of my life out in Illinois. I was getting the chance to grow as a man. I was getting to grow as a writer, getting to do my own thing, getting to push my own boundaries, and see a lot of different things, and go to a lot of different places that I never would have ever been able to do before. So I didn't miss home that much. I did miss what me and you had built at the Gazette, and working together for the small amount of time that we did in Illinois. I had missed it a lot, and even that phone call, that wasn't the initial reason that you had called me. I don't remember what the initial reason was. There were a lot of reasons. The main one was, I think you just missed me. I think that was the most important thing.
I don't know about all that.
Hey, whatever you need to tell yourself to sleep at night.
Well, when I made that call, I thought, I'd had some conversations in my own head, and kind of, was kicking around the idea of starting. So we made that call. You said, well, I'm in for what I can be in. I'm over here in Illinois, but you're really going to have to, Derrick, you're telling me you're going to really have to do a lot of the legwork in this. And so I got hooked up with Cody Brown and Mike Knight here in Chillicothe, based out of. And so Cody, who works at Chillicothe Truck now, and he has for years, Cody designed our website. He designed our first logo. A lot of that credit goes to Cody because of what he did at the start.
100%.
And I think, family life and, his full-time job kind of took over from there. But he kind of put us on, the map in a Facebook sense, in a just in a digital sense, to where we'd have any type of digital footprint. But before he was making, before he was able to make a website or to build one, we started on Facebook Notes.
Sure did.
If you remember that.
Man, man.
I don't even know if there's still a thing. But Brock's first assignment, he was back for a holiday.
I was, yeah.
And you covered the Pike County Holiday Tournament.
Correct.
And we wrote that and published that on a Facebook note. So that's really where we started. That was in 2018, December.
That was December 2018. Yeah.
And it just kind of ballooned from there.
Sure did.
I think you had posted on Facebook, if people really knew how this started and what went into it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a grassroots effort from the start.
100% it was. And I had covered that tournament. Waverly won. That was the first night I had met Zoe Smith. I think she was a freshman at that time. But yeah, I covered that, and then a few days later I had to go back to Illinois, and but just doing that, being back home, covering that game, it stuck with me. It definitely stuck with me. And I'm like, you know what? That was a lot of fun being back home, just being in, familiar territory, being around schools that I knew, being around people that I knew, also people I hadn't seen in a long time. It really stuck with me. And, more and more time had kind of gone by. Eventually it got to a point out in Illinois where I was kind of, feeling some pressure. Some things were happening, behind the scenes.
Sure.
And I understood the business side of things. And I'm like, okay, I should probably try and find an avenue out. I didn't know where I was going. I wasn't exactly sure if I was coming back to Ohio or not. I had thought of, maybe going to Pennsylvania. I thought about going to
So
Indiana.
did you apply for jobs?
No, I hadn't
Actually, I
applied
don't know
for
if I've
anything.
ever asked you
No,
that.
I hadn't applied for anything yet. It was kind of just a thought in the back of my mind, and kind of just more as the days kind of went. I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see this happen,
Mm-hmm.
this happened. This person isn't here anymore. This person isn't here anymore. They're making a lot of cuts. I'm like, okay, and I was sports editor at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and they were laying off a lot of editors. And I'm like, I'm probably next. I just don't
Close
know.
to it,
Yeah,
sure.
I just don't know when my time is coming. So I had just happened to see this was in March of
Mm-hmm.
of 2019. I had just happened to see that there was an opening in Vinton County,
Mm-hmm.
and so I said, you know what? Let's see what happens. Let me just take a stab at it. And no, I emailed their managing editor Tyler Buchanan. Shout out to Tyler, appreciate you, my guy. I had emailed him, and probably within 2 hours, he's like, "Hey, let's talk. Tomorrow. I've got some time if you've got time." And one thing kind of led to another, and 2 weeks later, I was hired, and I moved back, started in Vinton County, and from there I'm like, well, okay, now I'm here in Vinton County, but
Oh,
also,
and
but I
back
also
when
have
you were
SOSA
in
as
Vinton
well. Yeah,
County, what it did for SOSA was,
100%.
it was Derrick doesn't have to cover every game and write every
Mm-hmm.
story.
Yeah,
Then you really became that second arm to it.
yeah.
And what I would say, and you were there in March of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I was at the Portsmouth Daily Times because when I did come home, after when I was at 11 Warriors, it was kind of a football thing.
Yeah.
I knew that, and so I had to find an income after football season. Well, I go to the Daily Times. I was a sports reporter there, and kind of double timing, I guess. We would cover. I would try not to. If I was covering Sauter County teams, I would try to cover for the Portsmouth Daily Times, and then
Yep.
but the SVC, the FAC, Chillicothe, Hillsborough, Jackson, Courthouse, all those guys, they were kind of fair game, and so really our foundation was the SVC, and
Yeah.
then when it started to spread, you were still at the Courier,
Yes.
and obviously we're doubling content at this point. I was brought in to a meeting at the Portsmouth Daily Times. This was after Dylan Shockley, who played for the Chillicothe Paints for a short time, was drafted. And I was at the Paints game that night. We were going to do a video, an interview with some Paints players. You and I were both there.
Yeah.
And Dylan gets a call on the field at batting practice. Says, "Hey, I got drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates," and it was a really cool moment. So my instincts just kind of kicked in. I took Dylan into the Paints locker room and we talked, and I wrote a story and I posted that on SOSA. And like I said, the instincts just kicked in. It wasn't anything, an ill will. But that next week I had a meeting scheduled. I was like, and really it came to a decision time for me. And the Portsmouth Daily Times management, I don't, there's no ill will towards them. I get it. They basically said, you got to pick one. You can't cover. Dylan was a Minford graduate. You can't cover Minford for us and cover Minford for SOSA.
Yeah.
You're going to have to pick one. So we had put in about a year and a half of work at that point. I get back to the house that night, and I asked my wife, my fiance at the point at the time, but I said, "Hey, the Daily Times. This is what we talked about today." I said, if I don't work there, we don't have an income. I mean, other than yours, I'm gonna have to find something. It might not be in journalism. It might be whatever. And she said, you have to bet on yourself. And I'll never forget that conversation. As soon as she said that, my decision was made. And the next day, I turned in my resignation to the Daily Times, and it was SOSA full force from then on. But there was some tough decisions that had to be made for SOSA to be where it was at. I mean, at that point, and it's not like, for all of you viewers out there, it's not like this guy and I make our living on SOSA. We do what we do for our kids in our area, and our athletic directors and our parents, and it's because I think we love what we do.
100%.
but that was a decision where it was, do you want to do what you love or do you want to do what you do for a paycheck?
Yeah.
And I chose what I loved. And when I took my, at the time, Jenny's my wife now, but her advice is, you have put a lot of work into this. And I thought about you and, I didn't want to lose the momentum that we had. And it really, after that, it was full force, because I was going to games for the Daily Times where we wouldn't have any content for SOSA. After I went full time for SOSA, it was daily. It was constant content with SOSA. And, since then we've just done nothing but grow. And as you were saying, you were at the Vinton County Courier. And so fast forward to football season, still at the Vinton County Courier.
Still there.
I've made my decision now. I got to go, SOSA full time with my heart. And then with you were at the Vinton County Courier for how long, and then what after?
So let me see here. I was at the Courier from April of 2019 until March of 2022, I believe. Yeah, March of 2022, and I had gone from the Vinton County Courier. I had gone to the Jackson Telegram. I had gotten a call from who was I think she was head of HR at the time. Now Jackson girls soccer coach, Karina Ray. Yeah, she had given me a call, and we had talked about some things, and one call led to another call, and that led to me, going, making that move from Vinton County over to Jackson, going there full time. And then I was there for 2 years, and, business things happen. I get it. No ill will towards anyone. I completely understand. I was let go. I was let go from my position, and I kind of floundered for a little bit. I was still doing SOSA stuff. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I kind of floundered. Like, okay, well, what's my next move? Is it going with SOSA full time? Is it just putting my chips all in? Do I kind of look other places? And for a little while, I was looking other places. I was considering leaving Ohio. I was considering it in totality. But ultimately I decided, like, no, I helped build SOSA.
Yeah.
This was our creation, and it doesn't matter what happens. If this goes down, I'm going down with it.
And really, the rest is history.
Yeah, pretty much from there.
I think what people don't understand, a lot of times is they, this is nothing towards anyone else, but they obviously you do work and you expect to get paid for it. And I understand all that, but when you do what you've heard it before, when you do what you love, you don't have to work a day in your life.
Correct.
And we are the epitome, I believe, not just us, but really all of us at SOSA, of we do it because we love it. It's we're not paying bills with this. No. I mean, it's not a thing of we do this because we've got to get a paycheck, or we're making so much money or yours hurt. I mean, that's not how it is here. Yeah. We genuinely love what we do, and I would extend that to not just us. I mean, obviously everybody that helps us. Dewey Daly and John Bruce have built our YouTube channel from ground up with live streams. And what people don't understand about that is, like, I've had so many people come up to us and say, we get to go to watch baseball, and that's how you get that's how you make a living. And I'm like, well, it's more than just watching baseball.
There's a lot more.
And Dewey and John, I mean, you think about the live streams that they've produced. I mean, the hours that go into lugging equipment around and then plugging it in, then actually covering the game itself, and then unplugging it, and then the hours to get home. I mean, there's for all of us. I know that there's been a lot of nights on the South County bypass, or I mean, one that sticks out to me is I was at Eastern Brown for a basketball game, and it was snowing like crazy on the way back, and 32. That's an hour, 45-minute drive for me.
Yep.
But we still go down there because we love all those the good people down there.
100%.
So I would extend that to us, Dewey, John, Shane Combs is joining us this year, and we're excited for that. And Shane shares the same passion we do. Let's see, Carson Francis obviously has a huge part in what we do. And then everybody behind the scenes, Jacob Wise, Raymond Gleedle, Renee Namath was there from the start, Erica Fike. I mean, there's there's just so many photographers and
Kenneth A as well.
Oh yeah, and Kenneth A. I mean, think about Kenneth. He's our camera guy.
Yeah,
and I don't think there's one better in the business. I mean that when I say that. And he's he's behind the scenes. Christian Spradlin does our call-in show. Matt Hoops, Jaron Cox. They did our call-in show this past year. So there's been but there's one common denominator in those people, and it's they care about our mission, and our mission's always been to give the athletes the coverage they deserve. I think way back when when I had left the Gazette, there was a hole in their sports department that admittedly I had left. But 6 to 9 months later or whatever it was, that hole still hadn't been filled, and I was kind of feeling the pressure of like, this is my fault. Yeah. Let's still give our kids some local coverage. And, I think that had a lot to do with the decision to come back. But if you would have told me in 2018 that SOSA would be where it is now, I would have said you're crazy. So I mean, obviously to all of our viewers and, readers and, just people that like things or share things on Facebook, I mean, we always say what?
Thank you.
Yes, that, but we can't do what we do
without you guys.
I mean, it's the truth.
Yeah.
That's turned into All-Star games and
so many other things. We're putting on a basketball classic this year.
Yep.
At Jackson High School, which is crazy to think that we're actually going to put on an OHSA sanctioned.
Yeah. I mean, those games are going to count.
Yeah, so they're going to count. They're going to count against teams' records. They're going to be, official and everything that comes with it. There's just been so much work that has gone on. Not just from the start, but there's so much work even today that's still going on. And every single second, I love it. I love it, and
I wouldn't go back and change a thing.
No, not for a minute, not for a single solitary minute.
We had a lot of late night conversations about where we needed to go with SOSA and what we needed to do with it in the future. We still have future plans, as you just said. I think one of our main, I don't know what you'd call it, or one of our main something we can hang our hat on, I guess I should say, is that there isn't a stop. There's no stop button. It's how can we grow? How can we keep growing? Who else can we cover? How can we do it better? And this is nothing. I mean, I guess we're kind of patting ourselves on our back right now, and that's not what we mean it to be. I think that with what we've done, we just didn't expect it to go there. And it is impressive, and it impresses us.
That's true,
because we're surprised by it.
Yeah,
but I have had that question asked to me is how did you start SOSA? And we do see media companies. I feel like sometimes and anybody with a camera now, hey, I'm media, and let me get into the game for free or whatever it may be. But we were that person with a camera at one point, and now we have a lot of other media sources popping up, and I think that that's good for our kids. Is that if we're not there, and say Litter Media, Dan and Mike, they do a great job, and I know how you feel about them, and we Dan covered us in high school for goodness sakes, and if we're not there, they are, and so our kids still get coverage, and so I think we like to spread it around, and we're going into our what would this be?
This is year 7.
7th football season or 6th football season?
This would be officially our 6th football season.
6th football season. And, we'll have a stream team in a game every Friday, sometimes twice a week or week 1 is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I mean, and obviously that doesn't count what we do on Fridays, but I think it's easy to look at SOSA and say, wow, they cover sports. But it's what they don't see is those Friday nights when you're up till 3, and guess what? My 3 kids get up at 7 whether I like it or not. So there are a lot of long nights and early mornings, but it's worth it because, like we just said, you do what you love.
Yeah, no doubt. So there's a lot of stresses that come with it, and a lot of headaches at times. late nights, early mornings, sometimes even earlier mornings. A lot of time spent on the road, time spent in hotel rooms.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it's all for the love of the game, and it's all because we care about the student athletes, and we want to give them the biggest spotlight that we possibly can. To showcase their talents, to showcase everything that all the work that they've put in, not just what you see on the field, but also behind the scenes as well. I mean, that also goes into the latest video series that we released.
Yep.
The Dog Days. Dewey Daly did a great job. Producing that video, putting it all together. It's just little things like that. There's just as football teams are putting in work, behind the scenes, and with ample amount of time, spent on the practice field and in the weight room. It's kind of the same with us. There's just no practice field. There's no weight room.
As you can see.
Yeah, as you can tell.
There's a lot of pregame meals.
Yeah, definitely that. Some pregame, some post games sometimes, but yeah. At the end of the day, the sacrifices that we have made over the course of the last 6.5 to 7 years. It's all because we wanted to. It's all because we love to. And it's all for the student athletes and everyone associated with it.
Well, and I would add that it's not possible without our sponsors.
100%.
And I think one of our first sponsors was Neil Coleman Insurance Services,
Mm-hmm.
and Ty Park called me from Neil Coleman Insurance. He said, "Hey, what type of advertising packages do you have?" I'm like, "What is that? What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Well, I'd like to advertise with you." And I'm like, "I didn't even know that was a thing."
That's the other thing. We didn't know anything.
No.
Also remember, we had T-shirts that we were just giving out.
That was how we did our first advertisements.
That was the first advertisement.
Yeah, we really did. I think we ordered from Moultrie Screen Printing.
Yes.
They were one of our first sponsors,
Mm-hmm.
and they said, "We're going to give you, however, like 100 free shirts." And it was like 25, whatever, small, medium, 20, large, 25, XL.
Yeah. And we're just like, okay, instead of charging, $5-10 for a shirt, we're like, we'll just give them out.
It's free.
We were giving shirts away left and right.
There was a night we were at Waverly.
Yes.
If you remember that, they were playing Unioda. It was a softball, baseball, kind of a doubleheader. Not a doubleheader, but they were playing at the same time.
Yeah.
And we just walked up and down and said, "Hey, you want a shirt?" And we just started throwing shirts at people.
Sure did.
And then, our sponsors start, and we always say, we are 100% sponsor driven.
Yeah.
There's all the money that, and people are like, well, these all-star games, you make, you charge a ticket price. Yeah, they go right back, to Dewey and John and Shane and, the guys that are putting in work to put us where we are.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, obviously I don't have like a spreadsheet in front of me, but I would say 90 to 95% of all of our sponsor dollars goes straight back into covering our kids.
100%.
And when I talk to a sponsor, and I've had sponsors ask me, well, what do you do with the funds? Mm-hmm. That's what we do. It's well, do you see photo galleries on our SmugBug page, or do you see the stories that we produced, from 5 games on a Friday night? That's where they're going. It's right back to their student athletes, right back into their community. And that's something that I've always been proud of is, it would maybe be easy just to take the money and go on a shopping spree, but it's not what we're doing. We buy tech and to buy live stream, products so we can, bring it into your living room and, obviously, like I said, cameras and laptops and, whatever it may be, but they keep us running. And without them, we're still on Facebook notes. So,
which is it possible that we can find?
I don't even know if they're a thing. Maybe we're gonna have to ask Zuckerberg.
Maybe he can sponsor us. Who knows?
I wish.
His pockets are deep enough.
Yeah, he's in some. He might have some. We might have some legal trouble there, but
we can figure it out one way or the other.
The purpose of like this first episode though was to tell our story, and I think it'd be cool, for if we could meet. Or think about, some of the former athletes that, we have covered throughout. And, hopefully they see this and, they'll comment and say, hey, Brock and Derrick they were there when I scored my 1,000th point or there when, I had my 100th goal or whatever it is. That is the fabric of why we do what we do. We've got so many, moments captured on camera and so many stories back to, milestones and history making wins and whatever. But at the same time, it would be a lie if we didn't say we had fun doing it.
100%. It's fun every single time, and I mean, honestly, part of it is that we are tipped off to certain things when it comes to like those milestones.
Oh, sure.
So it definitely does help a little bit, to capture those moments, but nonetheless, it still doesn't take away from the moment. You will always have that, no matter what. You can always look back to that video or to that post or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think that, but when you talk about like the best games that you've ever been to in our history, think about.
Oh God!
I mean, Wheelersburg's won the state title 3 times in
Correct.
softball.
Yeah.
We've covered a state champion Ironton football team,
state champion Notre Dame softball
team.
Yeah.
I mean, what we've covered is we're a mainstay at the state tournament wherever we are.
Yeah.
Multiple track kids won. This past year, individual championships. I think that when you look at what we were when we started, we covered the SVC, the FAC, and the SOC.
Yeah.
And now we're those 3: the SHAC, the OVC, the MSL, the TVC.
Yeah.
And it adds to, like you said, a lot of long nights. Brock's hit like 8 deers. I don't understand how you continue to hit deer.
First of all, I just want to make this known because I know Jason Rhodes at Perfection One is going to love to hear this.
I mean, you're his best customer.
I am. I've been. There was a time for like 2 years I was his best customer. There was a time I called him twice in like a 4-month span. Like, Hey, Jason, how you doing? It's like, hey, what's up? Oh, I'm just gonna come see you in about 10 minutes. Like, you hit something, didn't you? Like, first of all, I didn't hit anything. It jumped out in front of me. I can only.
But you still hit it.
Look, if it jumps out in front of me and I'm going 60 miles an hour, there's only so much I can do.
In a what?
In a 55.
Okay.
I'm not.
Sometimes.
I'm not overly speeding.
Because I don't think those back roads in Vinton County is a 55 mile per hour speed limit.
No. At some points they are 55.
Okay, all right.
At some points
I believe you'd know.
I would know better.
Your family calls you
NASCAR Netter.
There it is. Yeah,
NASCAR Netter.
It's for good reason.
I got places to be. I don't need to be on the highway for if it's an hour and a half drive, I'm going to get there in an hour.
I will say that my life has flashed before me multiple times while in the car with Brock as while he's driving.
Zanesville was one of them.
Oh my God, yes. And that's the other thing. We could do 8 more episodes on stories that we've. I mean, just 100%. On the road. We were going to a game in Zanesville. It's Fairlands. Regional final? I believe so. They're playing Zanesville. So. Is it Maysville?
What's this?
I can't remember. West Muskingum.
That might. Oh, I can't remember.
It doesn't. Anyways, you go to Zanesville, you're always going to get into construction, and we came up to that divide, and there's a big pole in front of me, and I'm like, please go left or right. And you pick left.
I did.
And I think we walked in at tip off.
You sure did.
And
to be fair,
you were not happy.
No,
but I was petrified. So
no, I was not happy because we walked in. Because we walked in tip off.
I was just happy I was able to walk.
I was. Hey, don't get me wrong. I was too. Don't get me wrong. But nonetheless, neither one of us knew where the construction was going. To be fair. Neither one of us knew.
I definitely didn't. And I at that point, I was thinking, where am I going to go when I die? I got right with Jesus after that.
I'm like, if I go left, does it cut off at the exit? If I go right, does it take me a little earlier? I didn't know. So, hey, it's a roll of the dice. I went left. We ended up going an extra 5 miles, which I was not happy about.
And now Perfection One is one of our sponsors. And
yeah, that's very
we just keep giving back to them too. So
100%.
But no, that we could do episodes on the stories. I mean, we'd have those for days, and without
maybe that's episode 2.
There you go. Yeah, we thought about bringing
road tripping
TJ Carper in from Chillicothe, but maybe we just here's our craziest stories on the road.
We've got a couple weeks,
but none of that happens without that one phone call.
Yeah,
and from two different states. About 5.5 hours away.
5.5 hours away. It was probably 12:30 in the morning.
Yep.
At that time, and just you were up. You called me, said, "Hey, I got this idea." I'm like, "Okay, what's up?" like, that's a great idea, but how would we pull it off?
And if you remember, after we talked about that, we went to like Pete Holland at Paint Valley, Matt Hoops at Unioda. I think we talked to a couple kids, Lauren Goebel at Southeastern back then. There was a couple more, and we just kind of released videos, just kind of saying what a website would do. And I think I went back and watched those videos before this episode.
I saw one a couple of days ago.
All of their words, have came to fruition. It'd be a website where it really puts an extra spotlight on Southern Ohio's kids. And Matt in his video had said that or I'm sorry, it was Pete that said a lot of times Southern Ohio is left out on a state stage. I don't think we can say that anymore with the state titles that our kids have won, but back then I would agree they had been left out, and I think our mission was to put them on the map. And whether we've done a good job or a bad job of that, to maybe some people might think, then that's okay. But we've done our best to do it, and we've at every turn we've tried what we could to make it work, and we continue to grow with the sports that we're covering. We just put out our top 10 cross country runners to watch. We had full coverage at the state track meet. And I think track, wrestling, cross country, sometimes bowling, sometimes they golf. I can keep going. Tennis, they take kind of a backseat to the bigger sports because they are easier to cover, and more people read. And we do have sponsors that we want to keep and make happy, but we're to the point now where we can start covering some of those outliers as well. And we're just we're just so thankful for to be able to do that.
100%, man. It's been a great 6.5-7 year journey, and there's much more to come for sure. And I mean, this podcast is a perfect example of it. This is just episode 1, but we've got so much more in store for you guys. And we're excited. We're excited not just to do this, but to officially have the fall sports season start back up. Today's what, July 31st, I believe it is.
I think it's the 30th. Yes,
it's the 30th.
Yeah.
These summer days, they all get jumped.
Well, you don't have to do anything.
That's very true. I haven't done a single thing.
Brock, if you don't know, is a teacher at Chillicothe during the day. That's what he. Then he, what do they call it? You moonlight as a writer, right?
Pretty much.
And then I work for a distributor here in Chillicothe during the day, and then I get to talk to Dewey Daly at night, who's sitting behind our camera today.
Shout out to you, Dewey.
So I mean, I think we do have so much more on this podcast, and maybe we can start just like nicknaming our episodes.
100%
Beat Eats or. Or concession fines,
something like that. We can for sure do it.
How many Diet Mountain Dews did we drink last Friday? But what we wanted to do with our first episode was to tell you how we started. Brock and I's friendship go way back. There's another episode. Brock started, I think, as a stat guy. I called Brock on a whim and said, "Hey, you want to take stats tonight? I don't have anybody to do it." And the rest is history. So we wanted to give SOSA a home, for kind of those inside moments of what does kind of go behind the scenes a little bit for us. And we've had so many technical difficulties and things that we've fretted and worried and stressed about, and I've lost sleep over, and It all has led, all those roads has led to here.
Man. And here we are. We don't know that. I say this all the time. I don't know how we're still doing this. I don't know how we.
Well, I mean,
I don't know how we managed to go from Facebook notes to a website to being to.
Shout out Jacob Wise for the website.
True.
He's our graphic guy, and our second graphic guy with Dewey, and but I think that without Jacob, we probably wouldn't be sitting in this room. He designed the set.
True. That's very true. But yeah, just from where we started, and I mean, like I said, I still say it all the time. I don't know how we've made it this far, but it's been a lot of hard work, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. But it's all led to this, and the first 7 years have been a complete whirlwind. I'm sure these next 7 will be the exact same thing, but we're definitely looking forward to it.
Well, to add a spruce before we get out of here in our first episode, to add a spruce of a little bit of coverage on this episode, if you would.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to ask you a question, you can ask me a one.
Okay.
And we'll just bounce it back and forth.
Okay.
One team to win a state title this year, any sport in the fall. Who's it going to be?
Oh, in the fall.
In the fall.
That's
I
tough.
mean, we know if we go down to Wheelersburg, Notre Dame
for
in
sure.
in the spring.
Oh, yeah.
But in the fall.
But in the fall.
If you had to pick one that's going to win a state title in the fall.
Wow.
I could open it up and just say make a state championship game.
Okay. I think that might be a little bit more plausible. Wow.
I put him on the spot.
He really did. That's hard. If I had to give one, I would say Adina volleyball.
Okay.
I'd say Adina volleyball. I mean,
so I'm gonna mirror you there.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Wheelersburg volleyball.
See, I figured that's where you might go because that's where I wanted to go. I'm like, well, Adina did beat them last year to get to the Final Four. And
so at the end of the year, and I'm gonna clip this and put it on Twitter.
That's fine.
I'm gonna tell Kelsey I picked them. And I'm going to tell Kelsey that you picked Adina because they're probably going to have to play each other.
They probably will.
So just so you're on the spot.
It's all love both ways. It's all love. But
I think we would enjoy seeing either one of those
100%
teams win a state title. But I think our volleyball, this fall, our volleyball is always so good in this area.
Yes, it is.
You talk about a sport that's underrated in Southern Ohio, and it's volleyball. Mm-hmm. I've said it for years, and I if you disagree with me, you're wrong. And that's not to you, but to anybody. The SVC is one of the best volleyball leagues in Ohio, period.
100%.
In any division, top to bottom. And it always has been. We've got great coaches, great athletes. I mean, you think about the talent that's came through in a volleyball sense. You don't have to have somebody that went to Duke to play or whatever, but it's been in a constant stream of elite talent, and there's just been some battles in the SVC. And then you go to the SOC, and Wheelersburg's really South Webster's. They've been really good, and and they're going to be good this year again. Southern Ohio volleyball is underrated, and so I would think that if we had one to pick, it'd be a volleyball team to win the state title or get to the championship game.
For sure.
So,
hey, football, you can still do it too.
I think you've got some good football teams.
100% can.
I just think the field's smaller, and you get into smaller divisions, and I think we both can just write in Wheelersburg and Adina, and Kelsey and Laura might
they might cringe a little bit
right when we say this, but
it's like, oh, don't put those expectations on us. We just want to play our best each and every night.
And I know that's what they want, but you can't argue their potential.
100%.
I think Adina has one of the better players in the state in Katie Burns, and Wheelersburg's got a staple of hitters, and they've got a great setter in Ella Chamberlain, and Miley Joe in the back, and then they've got two good coaches. Both teams do. I mean, obviously Laura Smith is Laura Smith, and and Kelsey's had a great start to her career. So, and then we're not even talking about what she did at Notre Dame.
That's true.
That's a fair answer. But again, if anybody's going to clip this podcast, it's going to be that. And it might not be me, but somebody. So, I mean, like you said, Brock, I think we've got so many stories to tell. Player interviews, coach interviews, just kind of features that only you and I can kind of give insight on because we've been there and from the start. And I'm excited. I'm excited we got episode 1 under the belt, but I'm excited for episode 2 through however many.
How many are there going to be? Give a number.
I don't know. As long as Dewey keeps showing up. So
that's fair too.
So if anybody wants to know, ask Dewey.
There's a lot of things we still have to learn about this, but hey, Dewey, we appreciate you.
Yeah, today we could just set up, and for those that don't know, we could just set up here and talk, and Dewey really did all the work. So yeah, I mean, we appreciate all of our listeners, all of our the viewers, just anybody that likes or follows our Facebook. Shameless plug. I'd follow us on Twitter at SOSA Ohio. We've got an Instagram page, a Facebook page. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's where you're going to see all of our live streams. We've got a big week 1 coming in 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
In 3 weeks, Thursday night we'll be at Portsmouth for Unioda at Portsmouth football. That Friday we're going to be at Waverly for Miami Trace at Waverly football, and then that Saturday it's Little Miami at Jackson. I mean, 3 just back to back to back to start off the year. And so we're going to start fast, so we'll hopefully end fast, and in a football sense, and then everywhere in between: soccer, volleyball, cross country, tennis, golf, whatever it may be. You can, if you want to tell us how bad our podcast is, you can see us on one of the sidelines and see us there and ask us any questions. We're always open to ideas,
100%.
podcast ideas.
100%. Even if you are telling us how bad the podcast is, it's okay, because that means you listen to us.
That's right.
And we are so appreciative of that.
All right, well, take us out, Brock. You're the announcer.
All right, fair enough. Well, once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the first episode of BaD Company. We hope you guys come back next week, continue listening to us. Once again, if you have any ideas, hey, come up, have a chat with us. We are more than happy to listen. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you guys next time.